So I know last time we spoke about maybe doing cartoon or character drawing. I have a friend who does that and she's quite good. So I have asked her and maybe if she can join for one of our classes. She was busy today, but she is planning on joining us in the future, just for one class, and we can do that character drawing. Yeah, so today we'll just do a regular animal drawing, and then I'm just gonna confirm with her when she is available, and she will participate in our class as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's get our things started. I'm gonna show you the drawing in just 2 seconds. Sorry, I'm just gonna switch it to black and white so it's easier. So this is our drawing today. Two swans, black and white. So this will be a lot of fun. I'm gonna zoom in first so you can take your pictures. Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah, so this should be a fun drawing with either charcoal or pencil. Sorry, just 2 seconds and I'll leave it quite still.
This is so
okay.
Beautiful. Wow.
Thank you. It's a fun drawing. In some areas, I'll let you take your picture for your reference. I'll keep the iPad on the side.
拍照哈，拍照，今天画的图画，影相。
So I'm gonna be using my paper horizontally, just like that. So the first thing, as always, when we do a pencil drawing or charcoal drawing, even if you're gonna use charcoal, let's start our drawing with pencil. And the first thing we're going to do is we're gonna do the big shapes first. Sorry, I'm just making sure my camera doesn't move too much. So we're gonna draw the big shapes first with very little pressure so you can erase them after. You don't want to leave marks on your drawing.
I'll just say a little bit in Chinese. 阿梁睇啊，今日你張紙你要打橫嗬，唔好打直嚇，打橫。Mandarin 講唔到啦，對唔住。
So the first section, you can use an HB pencil, which is the lighter one. So I'm just grabbing my pencil. And remember, always have the tip of your pencil very sharp. So before we get started, I like to always imagine the entire picture in my drawing so I can kind of see, because sometimes if I start drawing this very specific area and I start over here and then I do the rest, it turns out I needed more space. So you want to imagine the entire drawing on your piece of paper. So I'm gonna say this is just a little bit lower than the half of the paper. So this is the half of my, so I'm just gonna make an indication that this is where the animal, the swan's, the bottom of the swan is. And I wanna place this right in the center. So you can take a piece of paper or really anything just to measure, maybe another pencil, just to measure, or maybe you can fold your paper like that. Mine is very thick, so I'm not gonna do that, but just fold the corner here, just kind of to know where the half or midpoint is. Or use a ruler, which is a lot easier. So I'm just gonna use this. So I think the middle is right there. I'm gonna make sure that's correct. So it needs to go a little bit more to my left or right, sorry. There you go, that's my middle here. And now I wanna make a dot where the center, or sorry, where the swans end. So the main thing with this drawing, or the hardest thing, is drawing the exact same on both sides. So if this is the center where my swan starts, I'm gonna go maybe this, the tail, the very end will be probably right here. And I measure from the edge of my paper till where the dot is. You can use a ruler or maybe your pencil like this. You measure that and you bring it here, same distance. So you know that's my point right here.
This is a real symbol of me kind of taking control.
And remember, we are doing step number 1, which is doing the big shapes. And so big shapes and very little pressure, because most of the lines we're gonna draw on step number 1, we will erase later. So now that I have the center and the end of my 2 swans, I want to make sure it is it's right, my measurements are right. Yeah. And now I'm gonna try to measure if my center is right here, my center is right there. How, so I compare the length and the height of the animal. So if this is my entire length, from the middle to the end, how many times or how big, how tall is he compared to its length? So this area is about maybe 3/4, just a little bit over 3/4, the entire length. Maybe almost two, or almost the same. Sorry, almost half. So I measure from the bottom to the top, and I see how many times can I fit it on the bottom. If this is a bit confusing, that's okay. You could just kind of estimate how big it is going to be, and it should look good anyways. So this is almost half, maybe a little bit more than half. So half would be right here, and just a little bit more. And this is my size. So I just make a dot where the wing, the top of the wing, it is going to be. And notice it's not right in the center. So the center would be right here of the animal. So the top of the wing would be just a little bit to the right. And the top of the head is a little bit higher than my wing here. So I'm just looking at my picture and I'm starting to draw the layout. Now that I have my width and my height, I can start drawing the big shapes. And I'm gonna zoom in on my drawing so you're able to see it just a bit better. And so I have a big hole right here. And I have a number 2 over here. And a triangle that almost touches the line, my center line. So from my midline to the back of the neck right here is 1/3 of my entire length here. So it means that this area, I should be able to fit it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. So I need to bring it more to the left. And now I'm gonna do the tail. So if you look at the picture, try to see how many times you can fit this area over the entire length. So it's also 1/3. So this area is exactly 1/3 from the center to the end. So about here, that's where I start. and also how tall it is. It's just a little bit less than 1/3 from my height. So I think this should be good. I think my wing needs to be smaller, more to the left. So that is the very basic outline. We're gonna do a lot more detail and erase the lines that we don't need after, but let's do, once you're done with this first one, let's start on the second one so they look very similar. So with the second one is a little bit easier because you just grab a ruler or a pencil or another piece of paper. So I'm gonna grab a piece of paper here. And you just take this center line as your reference point. So I want to measure from the top, from the midline to the top of the head. I just mark it here. So from here to the edge of my, or to the corner here is where is the same as from the midline here to the top of my head, and I can just keep a straight line and just put a dot right there. Or if you have a piece of paper as well, you can just, let's mark this point where the neck goes down. So I have a straight line right here. This is my midpoint, and I can just take the piece of paper and fold it. Fold it, and that gives me the measurement on the other side. So you can always double check. So from the center point to the neck is the same as from the center point to the other neck. Let's do the wing. So the top of the wing is right here. I put the corner of my piece of paper right there. I make sure it's nice and straight. I notice where the midline is, you can just transfer it, or you can just fold it, and then you get your other wing. Just make sure it's nice and straight. Just a little bit lower. Let's do this one right here, this dot right there. Actually, let's do this edge right here. I'll just transfer it here. And also this face right here, the front of the face. So you can just start connecting the dots. Maybe this point right here where the wing starts. Right here. This is a triangle for the neck. This dot right there. The space between the two swans. And so on. Of course, they don't have to be exactly the same, but at least the position and all that will make it look nicer.
I'm gonna put this. I'll put this.
Sorry, did someone ask a question? This line needs to be lower. You can grab a ruler or a pencil and just compare your drawings. Notice if you need to change anything at this point. Ideally, at this point, your dimensions and your layout is really accurate, or as accurate as it can be, because then once we start doing all the details, it's going to be a little bit harder just to change things. Okay, I think I'm happy with my layout. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my eraser and very gently erase what we don't need. Maybe the lines that, the dots that we may and then also just go over your drawing like this. Make sure you don't erase it completely or that you are able to see your lines even though they're very soft. So we can draw over them again. And now I'm gonna go again with my pencil and just go over the lines. This time I'm gonna draw a lot. My lines will be a lot cleaner. Less messy. Always looking back to my drawing to make sure I don't imagine things and I'm drawing what I see. So I'm now gonna zoom back so you can also see the reference picture. So I'm gonna turn this now. That's my first one. And now I do the second one. I always like to draw usually left to right, so my hand doesn't get everything smudged over. Same when I'm doing the shadows with my charcoal. I'm gonna zoom in on the face here so you can draw the detail. Don't worry too much about the detail here. We'll do that with shadows and blending. Okay, so those are my swans. Just remember to take a step back and look at the entire picture, not the one specific area you're drawing. And if you're happy with what you see, then we can start shading. So if you have pencil and you want to do this drawing with pencil, where's my other sheet of paper? You can definitely do that for the areas that are very dark. You put a lot of pressure, or you put very light pressure, but you do multiple layers. If you have charcoal, I like to use a dry brush and an extra piece of paper. I'll show you here. Or if you have charcoal pencils like this, maybe you can try drawing directly like a regular pencil. Maybe try it on another piece of paper to see what you like. And if you have a Q-tip or a piece of paper towel like this, we can use it for blending. So we're gonna get started with the darker areas, which is the face right here. So I'm gonna show you first with charcoal. So with charcoal, you have two options. Option number one is using another piece of paper that you can use just to color one area, and then with a dry brush, you pick it up like if it was paint, and then just transfer it onto your paper like this. That's option number one. Option number two with charcoal, if you have a pencil like this, maybe you can draw or color directly. That's fine too. And if you have pencil, you would shade it directly. Just keep in mind how dark your darkest is, So this is my darkest with charcoal. I'm gonna apply medium pressure right here. So that's my medium pressure and my lightest pressure right here. So whenever I do an area, I like to see, let's say this area, the water. Is it my darkest, my medium, or my lightest? I think it could be my medium. Some areas over here could be my lightest. And remember to leave the white spaces white. Do not go over them. And same, this is for pretty much any kind of thing you use. If you have the charcoal like this, or any other presentation that is not the pencil, I think it's easier just to do the brush, because even if we need very dark areas, like here, you just keep adding layers and layers and it'll get really, really dark. And even at some point you can put it directly, use your pencil or your charcoal directly. But I like to start just with layers of that little dust. If maybe you think the area got too dark, just grab your eraser and gently, you can tap it, just tap along. It'll make it lighter. And be careful not to put your hand over your drawing just because you're gonna get it all dirty. So let's get started. I'm gonna keep doing it with my brush. And I like to go from dark to light. If I see an area is very light, remember not to do anything over it so it remains very light. And I'm gonna do another thing you can do with pencil is do this thing, same thing I'm doing with the charcoal. So just grab a scrap piece of paper, use your pencil to color one area, and then you take your Q-tip or your paper towel and just grab and just kind of blend it, and it picks up a little bit of the dust, and then you just use it to paint. If you're gonna use that with the pencil, maybe you can try a pencil like a B or a 2B or 3B. And anytime I pick up quite a bit of charcoal or even pencil, don't put it directly over a light area because maybe it's too dark. So just choose a spot that is quite dark, that maybe if it's too dark, it doesn't really matter. So for example, the water here at the back is very dark. So now I can see how much I have in my brush, get the excess off, and then just start doing the area I actually wanted to do. I'm actually gonna erase just a tiny bit of the outer outline here so you don't see strong lines or hard lines. So again, I pick up new or a bit more dust. So a very light base. If you're using pencil, you can also do this. So color an area here, or even your charcoal pencil, color an area here, grab your Q-tip or a brush, and then just transfer it. It's a lot faster than drawing with the pencil like this as well. If you are using the pencil directly on the sheet, very, very light layers like this, and maybe you can try to fill it using circles like this. Very light. And then you can grab your Q-tip or a piece of paper towel and just go the opposite direction so you can blend it. You see that gets rid of the mark, the lines. So very light, a very light layer, and then just go the opposite direction with your Q-tip or your paper towel. And the key with this drawing is using our eraser to draw. So if you have this one, you can use that one and just use it to draw wherever you see that is really light. And just draw lines to give the illusion of feathers. And just go back with your dry brush to blend it even more. And you just keep doing this back and forth. So back again with your shadows and then again with your eraser. Every time adding more detail and more depth. So just back and forth. And then after you blend again. So I'm actually gonna do a little bit of the background just because it tricks our eye when the background is so light and when in the picture is so dark. So it's easier for our eyes to see where the highlights are if the background is just a little bit darker. That's why I usually draw on gray toned paper. So I'm just grabbing that dust on my brush. And you can even put it directly on the paper where it is very, very dark. The lines go here, water. And then with your eraser, you will draw again the lines for your swan so it doesn't get lost with the background. So with your eraser, basically we're erasing our outline just because our background is darker. Technically, the outline when we see the birds is just white. So what I mean is when you really zoom in, you don't see the line here. It's just a light or white line. And just try to look at the picture and see where the brighter areas are and erase over it. And now I'm gonna grab my pencil or charcoal and just really do the dark edges here. When you're doing this, make sure you don't touch the drawing with your hand. So I switch from a soft to a hard charcoal. And you can switch if you're using pencil to a larger or higher B. So 4 or 5B for the very dark lines on the face. Sorry. And I'm just using my pencil directly just to add more detail on my very dark areas. The very deep shadows. Are not too many, but now I'm gonna take my eraser and my white charcoal, and I'm gonna do the very light, bright areas, but whenever you use white charcoal, you need to erase what's there. So make sure it's make sure you erase before you use the white charcoal here. So take your white charcoal and just draw a few feathers here and there. If you don't have white charcoal, do this, but with the corner of your eraser. I think we'll have to finish next class. We need to make the water a lot darker. And we'll do our other swan right here. But for now, we'll just finish this one. So if you don't have a white charcoal pencil, just use the corner of your eraser. Or if you have this one, just make a pointy end and just erase like this. The idea is that you see texture and a few lines here and there indicating feathers. So the idea is that the swan itself is a lot lighter than the background. So we just need to keep adding layers and layers to our water until we're happy with the way it looks. And how dark it is. If you're using paper towel, just wrap your finger around the paper towel and blend it as well. So you see that when we have a very light or white, pure white background, it kind of tricks our eye. That's why I like using gray or darker backgrounds, or just do my background as I go, so I can really see how light the birds should be, or my subject should be. Okay, I think we're gonna leave it here for now, and then we'll finish it next time, next class.